What is going on, guys? My name is William Peary, and you are on the first podcast I have ever made in my entire life. So we will see how this goes. I'm very excited to express my opinions on the question at hand for anybody who's listening out there, but we shall see how it goes. So let me go ahead and read off this very first question for y'all. The question is, does a picture really paint 1,000 words? Does a picture really paint 1,000 words? This is going to be an interesting question for me, mostly because I do not like art. But that is okay because everybody has an opinion, and I am willing to honor yours if you are willing to honor mine. So, does a picture really paint 1,000 words? I'd say so. I'd say art is it's opinionated. So you can think whatever you want, and if that means you're thinking 1,000 words, then that picture means 1,000 words. There's many ways to view this question as well, because if we're talking about a painting, or if we're talking about a screen picture, or if I'm just looking at a view, if I took a portrait, if I took one of a clear see-through portrait and put it out right in front of me and just looked at what's through the portrait, that could be the same thing, right? And if you're looking at it, that can mean 1,000 different things. It's really about the interpretation of, whoever's viewing the art. And, that's something I always pondered, because a lot of people say that, at least back in, elementary school, you could grade art. And I'm so far against that idea, because creativity in itself, is something that is, it's specific to that person. So what is creative to them and what is interesting to them could be, completely different from what somebody else might think. So when it comes to if I'm making a picture, right? If I'm making a picture and I'm being super creative and I hand my teacher a stick figure with a flower on it, right? And that is as creative as I get when I'm drawing, which, it really was, because I was not a creative child. But when I turned it into Miss Snuffy, if I turned in that paper to Miss Snuffy and she looked at it and she was like, I'm not really seeing a lot in this picture, she might have thought to herself, that picture did not mean 1,000 words, if that's what people think art is, And to me, if I'm looking at a picture, all the things that were going through my mind when I made that picture, things like that could have been 1,000 words at that time. I'm not too certain if I knew 1,000 words at that time, that day and age, but that is all right. Just keep going forward with that. Back in elementary school, we would always have to draw and make projects, and do math problems, create math problems, things like that. And we were graded on those different things, and they were graded off our creativity. And I feel like, honestly, elementary schoolers are getting cheated in that aspect, because, if you're getting graded off your creativity and somebody doesn't think your whatever your work is creative enough, then, that really makes an impact, a negative impact on what the child thinks of themselves and what their ability is. And that can really make a huge negative impact on the child and the way they grow up, because maybe then they're going to grow up thinking that, nobody cares about what they create, and it just drives them not to want to be creative and not practice those skills, which is an incredibly detrimental. I'm not sure if I'm using that word right, but it's incredibly downplaying their ability to do things, and it just discourages them from wanting to be whatever they want to be, and it's crazy. It is insane how often I feel like that happens at such a young age. Not even from just teachers, because it's not always teachers. Sometimes it's the parents. The parents are looking at their child and thinking that creativity is negative, and the parents want them to do something else. And when you're forcing your opinion and your own, what your idea of creativity is down your kid's throat, that's so bad. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't give the child the ability to create their own thoughts and think independently. There's no independence in that, almost at all. Going back to the question, a painting being 1,000 words, you could really look at any painting nowadays and think a million things. And I'm in this art class right now, and the art class is it showed me an idea the other day about how if you take a painting, you put it by itself, it could mean one thing, right? It can mean one thing. It can mean one group of 1,000 words, right? If I'm speaking towards the question. But if you take the painting, you put it next to a word. Let's say I give you a bright picture with the word. What's a good word? If I give you a bright picture with the word aesthetic, right? And you are immediately comparing that word to that painting and finding the comparison and finding the things in common, or maybe even the things that are not in common between those two paintings, or those two, the word and the painting, right? So that could mean something. That could mean 1,000 words in and of itself. And let's say I take a painting, right? If I take a scribbly painting, a painting that's like freaking a bunch of scribbled different colored things, right? If I put it next to a painting that is just one solid color, right? That can mean a bunch of different things too. So I'm going to wrap it up. And my overall answer for this question is going to be yes, a painting does, in fact, create 1,000 words in and of itself. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time.